Netflix, no!
Hey, I'm Gabby Slocum.
I'm Ashley Bell.
And this week for Netflix No, we watched Dragon Guardians.
Yay! And if you guys aren't aware of what I'm going to classify this genre of film as, it's going to be called Redbox Knockoff. Because generally these are movies I find in Redbox about a week before a really popular animated movie comes out in theaters, and it's like the title looks just like what you'd see for the other one. So they have like
The Snow Queen,
which is totally Frozen, and it's got like all the characters almost. And they have one, I don't remember her name, Kiara or something, Kiara the Brave. And Brave is the only thing you can really see, and it's in the exact same font as Brave is, and she's like a redheaded person. And you're like, okay. And there's a bunch of these and stuff, but we watched one called Dragon Guardians with the font of How to Train Your Dragon and possibly Rise of the Guardians, but I couldn't really tell.
A little bit of the style of How to Train Your Dragon too, in that it kept referencing back to this book and showing these like book pages with dragon images on it. Thing about that, the dragon images we saw on those book pages were much more interesting than any of the other animation in this entire film.
So like our intro today, it's something you could probably download an app for and make a movie out of.
Yeah.
It's really kind of sort of that bad. Parts of it weren't always that bad. There were some really cool scenes with like trees and stuff, but in general, it's just like the eyes.
The eyes, they were just
staring into your soul. It never had emotion ever.
I have emotions. I'm saying words to you right now.
I'm so angry.
Do you have an emotional response?
I'm so happy. I could probably.
But I'm a
more than I'm
coward.
trying to right there. It's oh my god. No, we don't really know what happened in this film.
We're gonna put it out there. There wasn't a plot, really. There was.
It was mostly just a lot of exposition the entire time.
By far, the best part of the movie is where the villain, who wasn't even the actual villain, another guy ended up being the villain later, was giving this whole grand scheme. He's like, yes, I want to take over the world, and I'm going to do all these things because I am evil. However, I am also a coward, and so I am afraid. And he literally said the words, but I'm a coward. And we just kind of looked at each other like,
we didn't see him for another half an hour, which is not what you're supposed to be doing in movies. You're supposed to at least every 10 minutes check up on a character so you know what's going on. Also, this movie seemed to jump around in time, but then also didn't seem to jump around in time. It started with like a grandpa dragon, his grandson dragon, and some random human kid, we don't know why he's there. And the grandpa dragon's telling this story, this very specific story we're watching, but then we come back to them, and they're in the Now universe, and it's so confusing.
Yeah.
And you're like, why are they interacting with characters that are supposed to be in the story? What? And there's this kid who looks kind of like Link, but like really badly drawn. He's creepy, and he makes alien friends, and we're like not really sure why.
Aliens are in the movie. Fun fact, they crash land, and he calls them eggplants.
And they don't really have much of a purpose except for the claw Toy Story reference at the end, where they just teleport people to exactly where they need to be, of course.
And then at the very, very end, they burst into light and merge together and become a sword.
The very sword they were talking about in the whole, it's like 90% of the backstory. We didn't really understand it.
Yeah. There are two power source things. Both look like eggs, which is very confusing. One is the heart of the oak,
which I think is GLaDOS, right? From Portal. Pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, I'll show you a picture. I have one.
And that's, in theory, dying because the guy who wants to take over the world but is a coward has caused an eternal winter in summer.
There's so many. There's so much.
So many eternal winters. And then there's this other egg-shaped metal capsule because now we're in some other time
that's GLaDOS. I don't remember which is which.
That one holds the actual evil guy, Igor Khan.
Igor Khan. What a creative evil name.
Yes.
It doesn't sound foreign on purpose at all. Except this movie was made in Spain, so sometimes I'm really confused.
Yeah.
I think that all the names were adapted into English and completely changed, probably.
That's what we're hoping. Maybe it makes more sense in Spanish.
Oh, God. Maybe the lips match up better to any of the actual words they're saying.
The only other main character is this guy, Dragon, Kenneth, who
has a family.
Has a family.
He's a father who
and
paints.
He was painting at the beginning,
And Kenneth has a family, and he's just painting in the beginning, and his wife sort of kind of insults the painting, so he just runs away hoping his family chases after him. And then his son kind of comes out, and he's like, Dad, I love you. And he starts talking, about his dreams, and then suddenly he's like, Dad, you're worthless, and I'm gonna prove that I'm better than you, and he, like, just really angry, and I'm like, what was that? How did that happen? I don't understand any of these characters.
But wait! Then we find out later that Kenneth is part of this magical order of dragons called the Danahin, which are dragon knights, and they're, like, a big part of the story, even though we only hear about them, like, halfway through. And then...
Like how we hear about the evil villain Igor Khan with, like, 30 minutes left in the movie.
Yeah. And Igor Khan was one, and he and Kenneth duke it out in the Forest of Swords at the end of the movie, and then Kenneth stabs him. And that's it.
No, but with a broken sword.
With a broken sword that his son pulled from the rock like Excalibur.
Except he couldn't get it out, so he broke it instead.
Which is not how Excalibur works.
No. But it was a good try, I guess. So there were 3 female characters in this movie. Kenneth's wife, Kenneth's daughter, and some random human chick who's still pretty much unexplained. We can tell that they're female because they all have such female identifiers. They do nothing else in the movie.
They have blonde hair, yes, the dragons. And the mother has a ponytail. The daughter has pigtails. And the human woman, who I think is their maid, has a bow.
A giant bow.
A giant pink bow.
So it's pretty obvious that they're female. They also make a lot of really weird female jokes, like, oh, you should add more pink. That's such a good color. And then
Pink's
at the very
my
end,
favorite.
when they haven't been in any of the stuff, they're like, oh, those boys are so stupid. Like, and we're supposed to be laughing at them because they're stupid and we're part of the adventures. Like, all right, these are such great female characters. Yay!
Though I'm pretty sure there's, like, only 2 voice actors for this entire movie because everyone sounds the same. And I'm pretty sure all the voice actors are women, except maybe Igor Khan. Maybe.
Who, by the way, randomly grows a goatee in the middle of the movie. Like, here is him when we first meet him, and here is him with the goatee. I don't really know why that happened. All right, one other thing I really wanted to talk about were our dragons and how they work. Dragons can fly. Hey, writers of this movie, dragons can fly.
Yep.
And I know you know that, because look, this dragon right here is flying, and then I guarantee you, 2 minutes later in the movie, he's falling, and he can't get out somehow.
Dragons fell a lot.
It was like 90% of the
movie.
plot was them falling to their, like, to something and discovering something.
And we're like, oh, but they have wings.
What? And at first we were like, maybe his little wings are too big for his body, but this fat freaking dragon with the tiniest wings flies. So we know it's possible. I don't understand.
So overall, what would you give this movie, Ashley?
I don't know what happened. I don't know what I sat through. It was very fun to watch while I did other things, I guess, with you. But no, 5 O's. This was awful. Please try better next time.
Yeah. Also 5 O's. This movie was terrible. The plot, the eyes, the female signifiers, everything. Everything was terrible. I don't suggest it. Maybe your, like, 2-year-old niece or nephew.
No, don't even subject them to this. They don't deserve it.
But that's all we have for you guys for Dragon Guardians. We'll
Netflix.
see you.
Netflix, no.
We'll see you next week. One more time.
Netflix,
No!